You tell me that's not your starter, Steve? Get real.
Bulbasaur is my starter.
Yeah, I know it.
He helps you fight the first 2 gym leaders.
Oh, yeah, he just
the
walks
easiest.
through them.
He walks through, like, he just manhandles Brock and Misty by himself.
Yeah.
If, like, God forbid, you can somehow get an Ivysaur by the time you hit Misty, you're just like...
So I'd always sleep powder the Abra. Doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense.
Where were all these Tau players?
Because they're getting prepped for their new codex.
And they're whooping everybody's butts.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening.
But they're whooping everybody's butts with stuff that in the new codex you can't take anymore. Because you can't take quad cyclic ion blasters on everything.
No.
Because that is like the best gun.
It is.
So obvious it's the best gun.
Yeah. And you can't do it anymore, even in the slightest. So
yeah, that's over.
Thank goodness. I'm so happy for it to be done. They don't give you enough because they don't want you to do that.
Yes. And what is that? We're talking about the winner of Adepticon.
Yeah. We're talking about the winner of Adepticon today. So the 40K champs at Adepticon was won by Tau.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy to think that's Tau came out of the woodwork and managed to get a W before their codex even dropped.
On the eve of their codex dropping, they win themselves one of the biggest tournaments in North America. And let's take a quick look at let's take a good quick look at the list. But before we do that, thank you so much for everyone out there in YouTube land that's watching Hyperspace Hobbies. I'm, of course, Space Marine Steve here at Hyperspace Hobbies, and you can see me at Play on Tabletop 2. This is Ian, sporting the Hyperspace Hobbies swag.
It's the only one that exists.
It's true. It's the only one that exists. He has a relic.
Yeah, I didn't want to buy more of them because I didn't know if this channel was going to go anywhere.
Thank you so much for everyone that is liking and subscribing to our little channel that could. If you have not yet done that, we are just about hitting 4,000 subs, actually.
We're
that's very
exciting.
Close.
Yeah.
It's very exciting. So the march to 5,000 subs continues. If you please could like, subscribe, comment, share, tell your friends, etc. We love talking 40K here at Hyperspace Hobbies. So let's do exactly that. Tau. So the Tau Empire list in question is a strike force, of course. Kauyon has a commander in Cold Star battle suit.
Yes, with quad cyclic ion blasters, which are above and beyond the best option for any commander, any battle suit, anything that can take one. You just take it.
Yeah.
All the other options are just significantly worse in every way.
Yeah, and then of course he's got 2 shield drones. So the shield drones are interesting because they just give him wounds.
Yeah, they just essentially you don't even need to put them down on the battlefield. They don't do anything.
Yeah, they're just
you
tokens.
just say he has shield drones. 2 extra wounds.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, right? He's got a commander in an enforcer battle suit. Again, quad cyclic ion blasters, a couple of shield drones.
Yep.
And then Dark Strider.
Dark Strider, yeah. And then something that we are going to be fearing in the new codex is 2 breacher teams.
Yeah.
These guys are very close range, but they do a ton of damage. And the reason why they do a ton of damage is they go inside Devilfish. Devilfish are one of my most hated units in the entirety of 40K because I look at how many points they are, the guns that they have, how far they move, and their special ability, and it breaks my heart when I compare them to anything else that exists in the transport kind of realm.
Yeah.
Like you compare this to a Rhino, and it's an embarrassment.
Yeah, 75, like, and if anyone in the world says, well, the Rhino can heal itself, you're like, no, absolutely not. Like, a Devilfish for 75 points is an accelerator burst cannon, a couple of seeker missiles, twin pulse carbines. No, absolutely not. It moves 12 inches. It's toughness 9, 3-up save, 13 wounds, and has an OC of 2. And then on top of that, too, the units can disembark from the transport. Like, even if it advances with it, what is it called? Rapid deployment.
Yeah.
What was the guy writing this, like, taking at the time? Like, maybe
this is index stuff, right? This is, nobody knows what's happening with this. So somebody just wrote it and they were like, yeah, run with it. 75 points for that is amazing.
I bet you it's the same in the new codex. I bet you anything.
Oh, yeah, it is. But maybe it's at a points Maybe they've actually reviewed it and done something with the points.
Oh,
so it's 2
75.
Devilfish, both the breacher teams that are really great firepower. Both of those go in the Devilfish.
Yeah.
This is the only thing in the army that can have that go in the Devilfish.
Yep.
Then we have a big old blob of Crisis battle suits. Every single one of them has a cyclic ion blaster.
Is this a 15 cyclic ion blasters?
No. It's more than that.
Oh my, what?
It's 18. Because there's 6 guys and each guy takes 3. Yeah, and each one shoots 3 times.
Oh my.
Each cyclic ion blaster shoots 3 times.
And then but then also too, one of the crisis commanders totally goes in there, probably the enforcer,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Or the Cold Star one does, because then that whole unit can move 20 inches in one turn.
Yeah, they like
That's
get
totally what it is.
Increased movement and,
By whatever.
Yeah.
And then for one turn of the game or whatever, they can go like 20 inches and still be able to shoot all the
I
guns.
think he also gives them assault keyword. Just everybody in the unit gets assault keyword, which is savage.
Why?
A couple piranhas probably for like scouting. I don't really know what a piranha does. Let's look it up here. A couple piranhas probably just for doing objectives.
Yeah,
and being like another fairly tough body. Movement 14 is great with toughness 7, decent guns.
This screams to me like I'm going to be playing like objectives. It's movement 14, it's toughness 7. Yeah, it's got a 4-up save, right? But being able to like scout right at the beginning of the game.
Scout 9.
It's a really good tool to like get yourself awesome real estate at the beginning of the game.
It also has drone harassment tactics, which is at the end of your movement phase. Select one enemy unit within 12 inches of this unit, and you have to force that unit to take a battle shock, which means that happens in the movement phase. So you could really screw over, like, I'm going to use Armor of Contempt. Well, that doesn't happen in the movement phase.
No.
So you would get locked out of doing a bunch of things like that. Remember, this is the old Tau Codex, or the Index. This is the old Tau Index.
Yeah.
So some of these things have probably changed. 2 Riptide battle suits, 2 Sky Ray gunships, some stealth suits, and 2 Tetras.
Yeah, okay, so like, and the Tetras are obviously very good at like doing the marking thing. They get extra bonuses. Ultimately, like, this is one of those lists, like, this isn't a list that 40K scholars can sit down and try and like truly assess, right?
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And it's just riding cyclic ion blasters to the end of the index.
That's it. Riding the cyclics to the end of the index. Because this list has just been geared up to do as much damage as possible. It's wildly violent. And so all it does is just shoots all the cyclics it possibly can, tries to get it on the turn where they're getting their like double sustains.
Yeah.
Right? And like if 18 cyclic ion blasters, if 22 cyclic ion blasters are shooting you, right, and you're getting the double sustains, right, whatever they're shooting at is dead.
Yep.
Doesn't matter what it is. I can't really think of many like units in the game that can survive that.
No, but there's units of the game that can sort of match that damage output.
Okay.
This list was unbeaten.
Unbeaten. Yeah, and all through Adepticon. And you know what? So this is one of those lists that like you look across the table and you go, okay, if it is allowed to do the thing it wants to do, I lose. And what it wants to do is just get a really good like line, like a really good beat on something in your army that's important. Because like basically the Devilfish plus the Breachers can do solid damage, right? They can get up in your grill really quickly.
And they'll steal your objectives from you.
Steal your objectives from you because they can get out, like, and they dump what are OC2 guys onto the objectives, right?
Are they? I think they are OC2.
Yeah, they're OC2 because they're battle lines, right? So the Breachers are OC2, and you can just like snake objectives from people, and you don't worry about the Devilfish and the Breachers and all that stuff, even though they're like comparatively very weak. The problem is that you have to try and like hammer down this huge squad of crisis suits and manage the 2 like Riptides that are also going to be doing reasonable amounts of damage. And the problem is that like as an opponent looking at that list, I actually find it difficult to assess like what you're actually supposed to do, like my first inclination goes to like hide. Try your best to hide from the cyclics as much as possible and make them getting like aggressive enough to get good like shots off at some of your important things really risky, because that's the only thing that I can think of. If you step out trying to accomplish something, this whole army will just lift you up.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what you're playing.
It's built on being able to delete. This 400, it will be 500 something point crisis battlesuit unit.
Yeah.
Will pick up anything.
Yeah.
The other thing is like these piranhas, you could get charged by these piranhas and they're tough enough that they might just bog you down for like even one turn. And that would be all this list needs to kind of get the upper hand on you.
It's a list that I wouldn't say that his list is easy to play, but like once you start winning, like once you actually do get the crisis suits plus like all of his other vehicles that like hit hard out from like all their hiding places and they start shooting up the board, once that snowball starts running down the hill, like eventually you're just going to run out of things that can deal with what is also like they've got this 500 point like blob of a unit, but the rest of it, there's actually a high number of units there.
Yeah,
right?
It's even though they've put 500 points into one unit, the rest of the army is really well flushed out. Like it's got a lot of bodies on the table.
Yeah, it's a lot. And so like all this list is like whomever wrote this. Who's the guy that wrote this? Where is he? Let's go up to the top. Let's find you, you lucky guy. Brandon. So his name is Brandon, and he's the winner of Adepticon, and he wrote a very angry Tau list that is not going to be available for play very much longer. How, like, when you look at this, when you look at a list, so like let's zoom out, because I'm going to assume that the people in our audience like are not all Tau players. However, lists like this exist, you know, in a lot of different armies. Like, I think that this guy has built this list to do as much damage as physically possible, and that's the point.
Yeah, it'll outdamage you.
It'll outdamage you. So what's your tactic, Ian, when you come up against an opponent who has just geared their entire list to do as much damage as possible? What's your mindset going into that game?
Usually I try to lots of the times the big focal point model is like a Magnus or a Mortarion or something like that. It's a single model that you can potentially avoid. This you can't avoid. So you have to address this crisis suit unit immediately. Yeah. And you gotta overcommit because they're gonna be way harder to kill than you think.
Yeah.
So I would, if I had the ability, try to tackle the crisis suits. Immediately.
Yeah, whatever you could do to tackle the crisis.
Because that's the big damage dealer. If you could take the wind out of the sails for that, I think you'd have a decent chance. But they move so fast, and line of sight is real tricky in the game. So it might just not happen. And I'm sure that's a big reason why this list did so well, is because this list can go, that unit goes like 18 inches and still shoots. So you can just get line of sight. 20. Get line of sight. They're all flying, so you can go up and over. They're all vehicles, so they kind of have to go up and over if you're jumping over terrain. I don't know. I'd have a really tough time any of my lists dealing with this.
Yeah, it'd be
because it's got great scoring in these like little piranhas zipping around, these little tetras zipping around.
You also have, you know, 2 riptides that you kind of have to worry about too, because a pair of riptides, both of them with the ion accelerator, like does actual damage.
Yeah.
Right? So like everything does lots of damage. He's got 2 Skyray gunships back of the table. It's D6 plus 1 damage. He's slinging better las cannons across the table with rerolls to hit and wound. And like it slaps. Yeah. It slaps hard.
Yeah, it would definitely collapse most of the stuff that I play.
Yeah. I would have to really think about how I was going about playing against a list like this. And I agree with you. I think it's making sure that you can somehow address the crisis suit unit.
Yeah.
Right? The only upside to this is that this is one of those times where playing fixed objectives is actually a great idea.
You mean you would bring it down?
I would bring it down and then something else. Because for him to be able to do damage with the crisis suits, he's got to put the crisis suits out in the open. And the way that bring it down is actually worded is it's not vehicle unit, it's vehicle model. Yeah. And so with each dead crisis suit, you're actually scoring like 2 points, right? And then on top of that too, like the tetras, the piranhas, the devilfish. Each of those are worth between 2 and 3 points apiece. And if you're not killing the vehicles anyways, you're going to lose. So you may as well make it part of your thing.
He only has 3 units that are not
Vehicles.
Yeah, which is Dark Strider and 2 Breacher teams.
Well, I feel like Bring It Down is the first step towards a successful game here.
Oh, and maybe the battle suits. I'm not sure about the stealth battle suits.
Ooh, I think the stealth ones are actually like an infantry. But either way,
yeah,
right?
All the stuff that you really need to address.
Yeah.
So that's a good counter to this. And I don't know if anybody actually did that in the tournament, decided to Bring It Down with a list like this, but
yeah, it's hard to say. I'm not sure, but I think that would be the first step to look at whatever your other thing is. I think you have to just be a little cagey about it and think, okay, what is it that I can actually do? Maybe you're going to be able to deploy teleport homers near the end of the game after some stuff is dead. Maybe you're going to be able to, hold on to one objective and just cleanse all game for like 10 points or whatever, right?
Yeah,
like,
just run defense on
Just
it.
run defense and be like, I'm going to shoot and cleanse this one objective and hope that is enough, right?
Yeah.
Like, because I wouldn't recommend spreading out either. Like, I think this is a list where you kind of have to try and play as defensively as possible and hope that the Tau player gets a little greedy, like hide from the Sky Rays, hide from the Riptides, try and coax the suits out of their hiding places. But other than that, like
You'd need something for Space Marines. You'd need something super reactionary.
yeah,
And
you
even
would.
then, if it's in their sustained hits turn, and
That's
you
rough.
like try to deep strike guys, like Meteoric Descent, some plasma
yeah,
with
bad.
the Inceptors,
It's not gonna.
they're just gonna shoot you and you're dead.
just gonna shoot you. What you really need to do too is like this is a game you've got to sort of win in the first couple of rounds because he turns on his super powered guns on turn 3 and beyond, right?
It answers a lot. This list answers all the questions that you'd need to
Yes.
actually win like a major tournament, which is great to see. It's awesome that like this kind of index lists.
So works.
People weren't playing it, and then now that the new codex is coming out, they're going, let's try this index thing again. It's crushing.
Yeah, it works, right? It really works. Tau has got play, and the codex isn't even out yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens when the new codex comes out. I'm excited. I'm excited to see some different detachments. I'm kind of done with this one now.
Yeah.
I think that's how I'm feeling about a lot of index armies.
Just take away the cyclic ion blaster spam, and we're happy.
Yeah, take away that and we're happy. But I'm still ready to see some different detachments. I'm ready to I was so pumped when Necrons came out and I saw other detachments.
Yeah.
Right? And I'll be really excited for when, Demons gets a different one too. Like we play a lot of games. He plays Demons a lot. And right now you just have this one thing, right? Like I'm excited to see what else you have. If there's a Khorne based one or a Nurgle based one or a, maybe there's one that's like caters to the greater demons or something like that, right? I think they've got a lot of play, and I've heard that there's some cool Kroot stuff coming down the line for Tau. I'm excited to see what that does for them.
Yeah. I hope that Kroot are. I mean, we've seen a bunch of leaks for them. They look great.
Yeah, they look great. So, congratulations, Brandon! You win Adepticon. We're very excited to see what Tau have on the horizon. Thank you so much for joining Ian and I here at Hyperspace Hobbies. Please remember to like, subscribe, and we will see you next time.